Wave 3 listens live.
And welcome to the Thursday edition of Wave 3 Listens Live. I'm very excited about the show. Again, we have a mixed bag, but one of our most popular segments, he is back, Dr. Eli Karam. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and lots of folks getting good marital advice, family advice, and he'll tell you how, no family's perfect. He'll tell you how you can get the advice that you need and the counseling that you need. Louisville Kennel Club is here. They got a big dog show coming to town. It seems like America is just infatuated with dogs. We'll talk about that. And 7 County Services, what a great part of our community they are. They're going to talk about home therapy today. First, we go to my friend Dr. Eli Karam. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist. I think I got it out there right.
You got it.
For those who've been watching us in the little mini-series we have done, Dr. Karam, tell them that they probably said, hey, I have a few issues I'd like to discuss. How can they find a therapist that fits them?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that today. You're going to go to www.therapistlocator.net, and that's going to be our national clearinghouse for all the marriage and family therapists in the country. But you're going to put in your zip code, and right out in Wave Country, you can get all of the LMFTs, and you want to look for an LMFT in your area. You can also go to www.kamft.org. That's our association, the Kentucky Association for Marriage and Family Therapy, as you see on the screen.
All right, Dr. Karam, I want to put you right to work here.
Let's do it.
Let's get to it. This is a viewer email. We want to throw it up on the screen real quickly. And I think this is a common concern of a lot of folks out there. I have wanted to attend marriage therapy for the last year, but my husband keeps backing out every time I mention the subject. I need more emotional connection in my marriage. I took your advice that you mentioned on the show last week and found a marriage and family therapist on therapistlocator.net that I thought would be a good fit for us. Now comes the hard part. How do I get him to attend, Dr. Eli? Regards, East End Elizabeth. Right. Dr. Eli, I would assume this is pretty common. You've got, even if both members of the couple, both entities say, we do need help, yeah. I would think it's usually the man who says, I'm a little reluctant here. Why is that?
Well, stereotypically you're right. It's usually the female that makes the call. But I always say when we get a relationship, it's great when both people want to be there for the same reason, but most marriage and family therapists, John, are experienced with one person kind of driving the ship, wanting to be there one more than the other. So what you should not do, thank you for the email, Elizabeth, but what you should not do is kind of force an ultimatum on your spouse. Don't say, I'm leaving you if you don't come. A lot of people do that. It doesn't really set the stage to do this type of work. What you should do is, step number one, if you want to get your partner on board, you have to frame what you're going through as a couple issue. And what I mean by that is, let's say stereotypically, she wants more connection and intimacy in a relationship. Men generally, they define intimacy by sex, physical intimacy. So she wants emotional connection, he wants physical connection. So the marriage and family therapist is going to frame it as you guys both want connection. And to get really better physical connection, i.e. sex in your relationship, most people in long-term relationships don't want to be with someone they're angry at or they feel emotionally disconnected from. So you got to work on that in order to get that. So you tell your spouse that, and then the marriage and family therapist in the first session is going to frame intimacy in a way that both people coming in with maybe desperate goals, separate goals to start with, kind of framed under the same umbrella of intimacy. So that's the first thing you can do. Another good tip is that you have to remember that you cannot blame. It is a couple cycle. I've never met any relationship, John, where one person is 100% to blame. So it's reciprocal interaction. So you say it as our issue. You don't even have to define it as a problem. We need some skills, some coping mechanisms, something to help us function better as a couple. And if you frame it like that, it takes away the stigma that sometimes mental health has. Because remember, marriage and family therapists, different than psychology that psychopathologizes or looks for deficit, is going to look for strength and health. And MFTs, they will help you to develop the strengths you already have in the relationship. And even if they're dormant, like you haven't had them in a while, most people can connect to a time in their relationship where they have had a good period, where everything was not so disconnected. So MFTs are going to get a good sense of the couple's history to understand where you are now. So when you've done those things, you can also remember you don't have to be rich, especially in these economic times, to see a marriage and family therapist. You can go to community mental health. In fact, you're going to have 7 counties who we work with a lot in my other responsibility at the University of Louisville at the Kent School. 7 counties, excellent community mental health provider, and many MFTs will take most major forms of insurance. They will work on a sliding scale basis, meaning they'll work with you, and you just have to inquire about your benefits.
So, Dr. Karam, it seems to me that Elizabeth's problem would be a common one.
Yes.
I think men are, and I don't know if it's the insecurity or the fact they don't like being told what to do, or they're going to be asked to do things that they're not willing to do. But your basic advice is to make it a we problem.
Yes.
That both parties are willing to, that they know things need to improve,
right,
and say we need to get some coaching skills, right, and then go from there. Because I think if she gets what she wants, which is more of an emotional connection, then he's going to get what he wants, which is more of a physical connection.
That's the way it works. One kind of blends into the other. And what you do want to also remember is that there are predictable spots in any couple's relationship. When you have your first child, even in the most healthy relationships, sexual satisfaction is going to go down, marital satisfaction is going to go down. When you launch a child, I know your son went to New York, these are adjustments in family life cycle. So any couple, no matter how good, no matter how much strength they have, are going to go through these adjustment periods. So that's the time it's a good time to get a checkup from your marriage and family therapist. They're going to, again, as I said, see you as strength and health. They're not going to pathologize you. So rather than a problem, framing it as a growth area, or again, these are skills like we've seen on the show, how to effectively communicate, how to take a time out. These are skills that any couple can learn no matter how long they've been together. So really eliminating the stigma around therapy, couples therapy, family therapy is a lot what we hope to do on the show for sure.
Now we're going to throw up the locations where you can find a therapist, again with the therapist locator. But on a personal level, I like your style. I've been very transparent on the show. My wife and I have seen you. I thought you were fabulous. And for all the guys out there who may be a little bit reluctant, hesitant to see a therapist, I'm telling you, this guy's fabulous. If your colleagues or anything like yourself, Dr. Eli, I encourage guys, get on board and jump on out there. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm glad to say that. You can go to Therapist Looker, you can get a hold of anybody. You just type in any person's names. You can type in my name. But the other thing, you bring up a good point. It's like when you see a therapist, the fit is important. You really want to include your partner in that. When you go to this website that's on the screen, you can see a therapist profile. So maybe you're looking for a man or a woman, and many times if you have a reticent partner, if you include them in the selection process, here's a therapist, here's their website, which you can get to through the therapistlocator.net. If the therapist has a website, it will be linked to that. So you can really get a good feel for the person by looking at their website. So you want to include your partner, John, in that process to make sure that fits right. The other beautiful thing about psychotherapy, it is about fit. So you're bound nothing past an initial meeting. If someone is not a good fit for you, don't worry, don't think it's going to be like that. Many people go and have several meetings with different therapists before they decide on the one that's right for them. So you can find a lot through a website. But another good thing to do, as we've mentioned on the show, make a call. Any LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist, is going to be able to talk to you on the phone, get a sense of what's going on in 5 or 10 minutes, and you learn a lot just about how that person is just from an initial kind of intake phone call like that.
Dr. Karam, I know you're going to be on hiatus here for a week. We won't see you next Thursday, just a week. But when you come back, what other issues might we tackle on our little series that we're doing here?
Yeah, we talked a lot about couples the first few months. We're going to talk about parenting issues, parenting difficult teens, younger kids. We are going to talk about divorce and blended families, many issues like that. www.kmft.org, kmft@insightbb.com, and you can send things you'd like to hear discussed on the show as well.
All right, thank you very much. Dr. Eli Karam, I highly recommend you finding a licensed marriage and family therapist should you need it, and who doesn't. All right, let's just be honest here. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about another love that everyone has, not just your family, not your spouse, but your puppy, your dog. We got a big dog show coming to town, and 7 county services are here as well. We'll be right back on Wave 3 Listens.